long story short, still super bullish on PayPal. Got great expectations for them in 2025 and throughout 2026 as well. I'm not sure I'll be holding super long term on this one, as initially this was a return to the kind of median play on me. It got way too undervalued, but I'm very excited to see how the ads business rolls out on this one. You can check out my full thesis on my website, thecraftytrader.com. Other than that, in this video we'll talk about the daily and weekly price action. We look at that to figure out where to trim and where to add, basically within our risk tolerances. As well as that, we'll take a look at the open options interest. We'll see what the big boys are doing in the market makers. We'll take a look at some PayPal news, and my live portfolio is linked below in the link to eToro, and it's also on the screen there for you. Right, PayPal. I've just re-recorded this because I've realized there were some errors on the chart with measured moves and stuff. But yeah, head and shoulders here. Love that. Always a really good pattern to trade, actually, this one. When it does have a confirmed breakout, it's normally very, very good. We did have a false breakout here. We are back testing again. If this holds, that'd be really good for this measured move to complete up here about $90, which lines up with prior resistance. So that's probably going to bounce back off that one. People that have been bag holding since here will want to divest of their shares. They've been in there a while, nearly 7 months, something like that. To the downside support, though, we've got this massive volume shelf. I kind of wish I'd bought more here in this area. However, that said, this is a fairly low volatility stock, and it's not really what I'm focusing on into year end. I'm looking more at crypto assets, really highly volatile stuff. So my portfolio is probably going to chop around quite a lot with prices like that. But PayPal, it's a good rotation opportunity. It's good I topped up a little bit of my position today on this back test. I still think risk reward on this one is stellar, especially if they can get the ads business rolling. They're taking a bit longer than I would have liked, but I'm still pretty confident they still dominate things, and we'll see how it goes. So we talked about support, we talked about resistance, price targets on this one still kind of $124. Don't know why I said it like that. Nothing's really changed, so I'm trying not to just letting this one roll. I don't want to trade a nap this one because it's really not exciting enough. These moves really, this whole move was 40%. Probably could have traded that one as it was a big pullback, but it's not really, it doesn't really fit my criteria. It's fairly slow moving. The duration of that was 63 days. It doesn't really tickle my pickle, as they would say. So RSI, kind of neutral, getting a little bit hot, but nothing really crazy. Institution looks good on this one. We're getting back to where we want to be. We'll take a look actually at the institutional ownership in the news section as well. And flow is looking good. Let's look weekly. So this also looks like a big ass cup and handle. In fact, I've actually labeled it big ass cup and handle. So the measured move for the small cup and handle gets us to the breakout line for the big ass cup and handle. Now I would expect to see a little bit of rejection there, but if we can pop over it and then back test, that would be glorious. I would love to see that. That would certainly change the narrative a little bit for PayPal. But measured move there for that big ass cup and handle. Did I even put it on? Maybe I didn't put it on. Let's put it on. In fact, let's also label it so we know what it is. Big ass cup and handle move. I can tidy that up after, but that gets us to around 130. What a coincidence. That's what very close to fair value in my mind. So chart looks great. It's not been quite the move that everyone expected it to be, but I'm still confident the company can pick it up. RSI neutral. Institutions looks like it's picking up here as well, which is good. We're not really getting many overbought or oversold signals, so it really, really does have low volatility, and flow is kind of neutral as well. Okay, so options market for PayPal looks pretty good. We're seeing a lot of short-term bets here on this week's strikes, so they're kind of expecting a bounce in, up to 77 again to test that local high. That makes sense. A lot of traders will be watching that breakout to see if we can have follow through on that. Market makers are sitting at the $77 area at the moment, which has caused this little downward pressure here. So where the red line is, that means the market makers want to keep price under that, so they don't have to pay out as much in premiums to people in long positions with near-term strikes. And the same is opposite the green one. If we go below it, market makers will buy to keep price above it. So market makers want to keep it in a range. That range moves. It's very dynamic. It depends on what the options market is doing that week. So if we change, which button is it? Here, you can see that range just changing constantly there. So, but good to be aware of if you want to trade in that week. Let's push it out to. Oh, wrong button. Apologies, my dogs are barking. January 2026. I don't think PayPal gets running really until 2026, or at least later in the year. This does line up with what we're thinking. I don't think there'll be many more. There are some higher strikes, but most of the volumes are kind of $100. So that's where the big boys are fishing for this one. Quite a few of them already in the money, and the downside positions look relatively thin on the ground. Let's push it out another year. I think we had 2027s. Yep. I mean, this is even better. This just perfectly aligns with what we're saying. So over the next few years, market seems to be pretty damn confident that we're going to be up in the, past 130, 135 area, which aligns perfectly with what I'm looking at investing in. Not too much news for PayPal, despite the fact I haven't recorded a video in a long time. They're just sort of doing little adjustments to their platform, which, that's a good thing. That means they've got their head down. They're doing stuff. I want to see some announcements now when I'm ready. We saw the institutions are coming back a little bit here. But I'd like to see more of that. These guys aren't going to come back till they've got something to get excited about, or there's some momentum. There's definitely no momentum behind PayPal right now, so we've got to wait and see for that one. Just up there though, Amir, I think he does quite a lot about PayPal. He's just put a post saying it's extremely undervalued, and I'm inclined to agree. I think this is the most steady Eddie. If you don't like volatile stocks, this one's probably going to be one to generate you fairly high returns without a whole lot of risk over the long term. Now, I know people are going to argue with me on that, but I mean, compared to a lot of the stuff I'm holding, this is relatively stable. So that's something to bear in mind. This kind of is a bit of stability for my portfolio. And again, I'm not really concerned. I think the company's doing great things. They're getting back to growth. I'd like to see that grow a bit more. And I think Alex Chris is the man to do that. He's obviously taken a little bit longer, but maybe things were worse inside the company than he anticipated. It's a very large company. It moves very slowly. So yeah, still holding this one and adding to it. That's a wrap. If you like this content, give it a like, share with your mum, your nan, your dad, your gran, whoever, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.